welcome to 2D Talk. I'm Jayse, and today we're doing Real Movie News. This is a segment where I let you know what's going on in Hollywood, what's shaking up. We also do the box office dive as well, which lets you know what movies are doing well, what movies are failing, what movies are coming out very, very soon. So let's start with the box office dive. Black Panther reigns supreme at the #1 spot for the 4th straight week running, bringing in 41 million with a staggering 38% drop. That's really low for a blockbuster, let alone comic book movie, and taking it into the $1 billion club. On top of that, it opened in China with a $66.5 million opening weekend. On its current path, it will definitely make it into the top 10 grosses of all time, unseating Frozen, which will be friendly fire as that is another Disney production. A Wrinkle in Time opened at the #2 spot with a less than stellar $33 million weekend haul. This could be due to the poor word of mouth from early reviews, and the demographic it was hoping to attract, the African American market, didn't show up to support it like they have done with Black Panther. On top of that, the movie had a mainly female demographic turning out to see it rather than an even spread, again something that is hoped for a movie of this caliber. Red Sparrow is quickly being forgotten as it fell 52% in its second weekend, despite Lawrence's somewhat desperate shock and awe report that she doesn't have sex due to fears of sex germs. I believe she did this to try and get male audiences to flock to her movie, but it looks like that failed. And Peter Rabbit enjoyed a low 32% drop in its 5th week, bringing it within earshot of the century mark domestically in the US. This movie may have the same kind of legs as Jumanji and The Greatest Showman. Speaking of those two, Jumanji fell 38% in its 12th week on the charts to number 10, and The Greatest Showman fell out of the top 10 to number 13 with a 34% drop, again in its 12th week. Both of these movies need to be commended for their historic runs. As for what's coming out this weekend in the UK, Peter Rabbit will hopefully enjoy a great weekend riding on the coattails of positive reviews and its US box office. And Tomb Raider is set to possibly be the best video game movie in a very long time. So that's it from the box office dive this week. Please tune in for more of that. Now let's move on to our first news segment. Dungeons & Dragons. Yes, the long, and I mean long, in develop adaptation of Dungeons & Dragons has started looking for locations in England to shoot. I am a massive fan of Dungeons & Dragons, having played and hosted many games over the years. One of the reasons for the hold up in getting it off the ground was due to a legal battle between Hasbro, who own the gaming rights, and Sweet Pea Entertainment as to whether a straight-to-video sequel actually counted as sequels for franchising purposes. Once that was all settled in 2015, Warner Brothers started focusing on getting the movie up and running, using a script from David Leslie Johnson, who scripted Wrath of the Titans, which I liked, but I'm glad to say that that ship has sailed on by. Ansel Elgort was also attached to star in 2016, with Rob Letterman, the director of Goosebumps, to helm. But all of that went nowhere, and the film has now moved rights to Paramount, and with that they have brought on Chris McKay to direct, his previous and only credit being the Lego Batman movie back in 2017. The last attempt at a theatrical release was in 2000, starring Jeremy Irons and Marlon Wayans, and it was bad. Really bad. Back then when I saw it, I was so angry that they'd butchered something that I've held so near and dear. And since then, they've made 2 direct-to-video movies, equally as bad, if not somehow worse. Deciding to shoot in England is a good idea, although I can't help but wonder why they don't just do what Peter Jackson did and go to New Zealand. Because as he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that at the time Tolkien was writing The Lord of the Rings, the English landscape was very different. And that if he wanted the space and visuals he needed, New Zealand was the closest to Old English countryside he could get. But luckily for English extras, they are coming to us. The adaptation of the tabletop RPG, which was first released in the mid-70s by Gary Gygax and David Arneson, is a tall order due to its vast nature, plethora of weird and wonderful fantastical creatures, and its high fantasy concept. Not only will it need to be an expensive endeavour, it will also need to be one hell of a story, as the actual tabletop versions have a huge amount of stories to actually pull source material from. It just needs to be done in the correct way. The movie is set for release on July 23rd, 2021, so we have some time. Okay, and the final bit of news is that Viola Davis and Lupita Nyong'o have been cast in TriStar Pictures' upcoming movie called The Woman King. This is great news for women of colour in Hollywood, especially these women in particular, as Hollywood has a problem with casting darker skinned actresses over lighter skinned ones. Both of these actresses have commented multiple times on how hard and how blatant Hollywood is for them when it comes to being cast. This is absolute madness, as they are both Oscar winners, which, if they were of a lighter skin tone, would be a boost to their casting opportunities immensely. Basically, the general rule is that once you have an Oscar, you will work for life. Now, the movie is based on true events that took place in the kingdom of Dahomey, one of the most powerful states of Africa in the 18th and 19th centuries. It tells a story of Naniska, played by Viola Davis, general of an all-female military unit known as the Amazons, and her daughter Nawi, played by Nyong'o, who together fought the French and neighbouring tribes who violated their honour, enslaved their people, and threatened to destroy everything they've lived for. With Black Panther showing us the fantastical world unmarred by gender and racial stereotypes, The Woman King will be a real-life representation of this. I'm a massive fan of both of these actresses, and I'm very happy to see them in a movie like this. The powerful drama alone will be a sight to behold. No release date has been announced as of yet, but keep a lookout for this possible game-changing movie. So that's it from 2DTalk. As I said, I've been Jayse. What do you guys think about these articles and the box office? Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to catch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That is it for this week. Take care, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.